Okay, so good evening, everyone. Once again, want to take the opportunity to welcome you for this information session. This is courtesy of Rewell and the team, the Youth DIAS Kenya, in collaboration with Generational Leadership Network. And basically, we just want to have a conversation on how to better our leadership in our different spaces of leadership, so that we can see how we can collaborate in terms of building capacity. So I'll briefly highlight what Generational Leadership Network is all about and the programs that we are running. But before that, I want to pinpoint a few aspects of leadership that are very critical, because as it's normally said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So at the beginning of every change, it starts at leadership, the leadership space. So from the capacity building, from investment in terms of building capacity of our teams, and that starts with ourselves as leaders. So by the end of the session, we'll be able to clearly probably see the areas that we can work together and see how we can continue to transform communities together. So I'm Joseph Kiari Mboro, and I've known Rewell through a program that I'm running. I'm running a number of programs. I'm the founder of Generational Leadership Network, which is a consultancy organization, but at the same time, we also do community work. Our focus is equipping leaders globally. So this is what we do on a daily basis. We are helping organizations to build capacity so that they can be able to optimally perform and at the same time utilize the resources they have in an optimum way. So the founder, and I'm working with a team that is behind all this. Now the network has grown to over 100. We have not been in existence for a long time, but we're gradually growing because this is a process that has to be grounded properly. We have authored a number of books that we are using to capacity build. So I'll highlight that probably as we continue. And since we are not many, maybe it's prudent just to know who is on board. And if you are okay, just to unmute and maybe share your name and profession. I think that will be good just to be able to set the context. And also, since this is a conversation, it will help us to enhance our discussions tonight. So if you are in a place where you can unmute and introduce yourself, that is okay. If where you are, it's not possible to unmute and communicate, still feel free to just indicate something on the chat. We'll be able to look at it, and that will help us to be able to engage properly. So let me start with Liz. Liz.
Yes, hello, all of you.
Hello to you.
I'm Ruth Liz Wamboi Ndongo, and I'm a student pursuing information technology in Thika.
Yeah, pleasure, Liz. And maybe probably an expectation for tonight, if it's possible to mention that, that's also okay. I know it's information sharing session, so it might be open.
Yeah, sure. Based that we are leaders, you expect to learn more in, the faults maybe we may have and how to work on them, and maybe even how to work on challenges facing us, and also learn more about leadership.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you too.
Yeah, Samuel. We can have Samuel.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Samuel Mugo. I'm working as a facility manager at the moment. I'm in Dubai. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the session to learn more on values and dynamics of leadership. Yeah, I hope it will be a productive one. Great to be here.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Values and dynamics of leadership. Yeah, well noted. Rewell, I don't know if your mic is well or you can use the chat. Let's see, probably let's try the chat. If you're still not able to communicate, I'll move on to Mwalimu JB.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
This is Joseph Bontis Musemi, a counseling psychologist by profession, a physics mathematics teacher as well. I'm looking forward to learn a lot about leadership and basics in leadership as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joseph. Isaac Nyoike. Isaac Nyoike, and then we'll move on to Morris Ngure. Let's try Morris Ngure as we check on Isaac. Morris, if you're able to unmute, and also Agnes, Jerry, probably anybody who is ready, just unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening, team.
Good evening.
Okay, I'm Agnes Mwangi. I'm a social worker and a mental health therapist. I'm looking forward to learn more on this session so that when we are leading, we can lead well and be able to interact well with those we work together and as groups and in our organizations. Looking forward to learn more.
Thank you so much, Jerry. So straight away, let's move on. And I'll start by just introducing the Global Leadership Masterclass. I noted our umbrella name is Generational Leadership Network in Kenya. And we run a number of programs. One of them is becoming a global leader, but in short, we call it Global Leadership Network Masterclass. And what we are doing here is to be able to stretch our thinking in terms of the vision that we are implementing, conceptualizing, and running with to be able to think at a global space, as much as we'll start from where we are. But now, since we are in a global space, I think thinking in that perspective will help us to be able to package ourselves to fit in any environment. And the challenge that we also emphasize on to all leaders is to lead local. And basically, we are telling our leaders that our leadership space starts immediately where we are and with what we have, because that is what will help us to be able to create influence from the small circle, and then we expand the circle as we continue. And the overall goal is to transform the world, starting with where the spaces that we are occupying. So our belief is that a better leader is always a better life. If we all have to improve our lives, that has to start by becoming a better leader. And I like one of the quotes by Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma says that if you want to triple your success in life, then that has to start by tripling the investment in your personal growth. And I think that's one of the best ways that leaders become better. So a better leader will lead to a better life. And if we have to improve our families, then it has to be hinged on leadership and community, and the spaces grow until what we are referring to as the transforming the world. So this is our belief. I scanned briefly on your mission. Maybe this just might be one of the aspects that you're working on to create mental health awareness among the youth in community. The source is Facebook, so I don't know if this is the most authentic, but maybe you can clarify that. The vision is to see a sober community full of future-oriented, focused youth who are highly motivated to scale the heights of success in their life, and then help the less fortunate. And the focus is again on the youth. So this is commendable. This is commendable because if you look at the statistics, one of the reasons why Africa is a key area of focus is because of the population, the high population of the youth within the African continent. And therefore that tells us where our resources should go. Resources in terms of human capital, as well as resource in terms of the financial and other related resources. So this is commendable that you have chosen a niche within the African continent, and beyond that, within the country and within the African continent and globally. This is an area that is of great focus at the moment. So for Global Leadership Network Masterclass, I'll focus a little bit on this because this is one of the programs that we are running amongst the others that are currently running. So this is a platform just to be able to build capacity, team build, and one of the key aspects that has become very dominant now is this aspect of collaboration and networking, because there are heights that we can only scale, or there are levels that we can only attain through an environment of networking and collaboration. Just the way we are doing it tonight, where we are coming in as an entity that is bringing in the aspects of capacity building. At the same time, you also have your hand on how you are equipping the youth, transforming the youth, and also those other aspects that we have mentioned in your vision and mission. So we focus on this. These are real activities that we have undertaken within last year and this year. Again, it's a space that we provide for leaders to learn, and more importantly, to unlearn and relearn. And the reason we chose this slogan is because there are strategies that will work to a certain point, and it will call, or it will be required of us that at certain points we have to adjust. We have probably to change the strategies. And the best example is the situation that we have gone through in the COVID scenario, where we've seen leaders coming up with initiatives. Some of them have been just tried out. Some of them we were not sure if they will work out. But as a leader, it calls for action. It calls for thinking on our feet. It calls for creating that soberness, and people are looking at us, and therefore sometimes there are action that we will take. We may not be very sure, but at the end of the day, something has to be done. So as we go through the masterclass, we appreciate this, that we'll keep on learning, but at some point we'll have to unlearn some of the strategies, some of probably the aspects that we feel are not giving us maximum results. And then we relearn the new strategies that will help us. I think Samuel mentioned the issue of dynamics of leadership. And this is one of the aspects of dynamics of leadership. Leadership has become very dynamic because we are living in information age. We are living in a connected world. And therefore, there is so much rapid change all around us. So within this program, the goal is to help leaders appreciate the critical role of leadership. I know we already appreciate this, but I think a conversation helps us to think more about it. And I'm sure even tonight, this kind of a discussion probably will help us again to refocus more on the aspects of leadership, because there are some pointers that will be highlighted in this conversation. And maybe if I was giving attention of around 20%, I may want to increase that attention to maybe 50 or more. Attention in terms of investment in the leadership, maybe in programs, in workshop, or whatever other aspects that will help me become better. So just to appreciate that critical role of leadership. Number two is the goal is to highlight the leadership gap and how do we bridge this leadership gap. I'll show you a number of studies that have been done, and you can see that clearly there is a leadership gap. Again, to appreciate the dynamics or build or develop leaders that are dynamic, innovative, and adaptive. Yeah, this is the only way that we can be proactive as leaders. And this is the only way that we can be able to catch up with the changes that are all around us. Then the resilient leaders, wow, this is so critical. It's very, very important. The resilience is a buzzword for every leader in this current leadership times. Then the final goal is self-care. In the masterclass, we always ask leaders, how often do we pause to reflect and just think about ourselves? Because there are so many demands that are placed on us, and it's likely possible that we might find that we are not having enough time for ourselves. So that deliberate, intentional thinking of myself as a leader, that I need to create time just to be able probably to plug into a program, plug into a network, so that I can become better as I continue to pour into the cups of other leaders. So the program is also, we call it a 360 applicable zone. You can apply it at self-leader, personal leadership. Personal success is one of the program that will help a leader from where you are, probably even to tap into the capacity that you have. Because as much as we say that Africa is resourced, then if you bring that to the individuals, we are also resourced. So how do we offer that leadership to ourselves to be able to tap into that personal resource? It might be a gift, it might be a talent, it might be something that I possess, but it needs leadership to be able to come out. So personal level, the inner circle leadership is a program, or the knowledge acquired here can also be applicable in a family setup, in team organizational leadership, and again at the community leadership level, where I think all of you fit. But all of you, I'm sure you can you fit in all these areas. So our vision is to equip leaders who will think generational. Very important, because this will help us even to project long-term vision beyond ourselves, and vision that will be able to impact many generations to come. Leaders who are purpose-centered, that are leadership for a purpose and a higher call or higher purpose. Again, leaders who are driven by a vision. And here in the masterclass, we normally distinguish between ambition, vision, and aspiration, so that we are clearly aware, are we on a vision or are we pursuing some ambition? So this is our vision. And we see these leaders in every home, in every organization, and in every country. So each cohort adds up to a leader that has these qualities that we have highlighted. So as we go through the masterclass, it's normally a very sober environment to be able to discuss amongst the team. And our cohorts, we limit them to a maximum of 15 and below, so that we can really be able to connect and benefit from the collective wisdom. So we engage in a very sober discussion on leadership gap, also the challenges and opportunities. Then we analyze various leadership cases with a view to be able to enhance personal and organizational leadership. And I think I just need to re-echo what the first statement that I mentioned, which is a statement by John Maxwell, that everything rises and falls on leadership. And this is a statement that will help us to really focus more on leadership, invest more on leadership, think more about leadership from personal level across board. And I want to pose this question to all of us tonight. What is the toughest leadership role? What is the toughest leadership role? Either you have encountered as a leader or as a group, or you have probably even just been able to learn about it in some literatures. And I'll allow this, a response on this on the chat, if you can just give a response on this on the chat, I think that will help us to be able to learn from our different responses or our different perspective on this question. So what is your toughest leadership role as a leader? Toughest leadership role of every leader or any leader. What do you think is one of the toughest leadership role that we have as leaders? So because of time, I can sample just two. If I get just two responses, it will help us just to be able to connect with you as we continue. So just two. Either on the chat, or if you feel free, just to unmute and mention. That's also okay.
Evening again.
Yes, Agnes.
Yeah, sometimes being a leader, the challenges that I've encountered is in conflict resolution.
Yeah, conflict resolution.
Especially on the issues of being non-partisan.
Yeah, true, conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
as
for
a
that.
leader, you have to be non-partisan, but sometimes you are forced by the circumstances to be on one side, which I think is not okay.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And in the masterclass, we normally have a session on problem solving, and there is some particular approach that we also study together and explore. Yeah, so, but I agree with you. One of the toughest role is conflict resolution. We can have one more, just one. Yeah, Samuel, to make a final decision, yeah, especially where the involved have different views. Yeah, very true. Amongst others. But surprisingly enough, you realize that leading self is actually amongst one of the toughest leadership role that we have. It's always easier to lead others, but you realize sometimes there are times even someone is in a program, but we are seeing someone else. We are not seeing ourselves. Maybe there are areas that needs to be adjusted, and it becomes very easy to be able to see someone who should adjust until we probably forget that we also have a space to adjust as leaders. So leading self is amongst the toughest leadership role, in addition to what you have mentioned. Leading change, and you will see also from the leadership gap, leading change has also been highlighted as one of the challenge that leaders are experiencing, leading teams. And if you bring this down, leading self, Nelson Mandela said,
Can I also add a point here?
Yes, Joseph?
Sometimes when we talk of the most risky and the most disturbing points whereby in leadership, you will find that when you becoming the second in command in any organization or in any platform, you will find that you experience very hefty and difficulties because you can't make any sober decision. Everyone is always against you because they are up to their CEOs, and those kind of people usually restrict you from making decisions for them. So you feel that you've been overwhelmed.
Very true. Yeah, recently we had a scenario at an organization where I work, and the deputy was really having challenge because every time boss has more pressure, he will always cascade downward the pressure to the deputy. So I think I pick that. Again, Liz, you are saying making final decisions on relationships, picking and choosing who wins and who loses. Yeah, and these are very authentic points that you're bringing on board and very practical. You see, these are spaces that we are in, and these are experiences that I'm sure all of us have gone through. So whatever we are discussing here, and I'm happy because this is the focus of the masterclass. Like, how do we unpack the whole process of problem solving until probably there is some level of consensus as we arrive at a particular answer. But remember, leading self is very important and it's very broad because it addresses quite a number of aspects that we'll also discuss across board. So let me highlight the first aspect or the first goal, to appreciate the critical role of leadership. And if I'll be a little bit fast, just understand, because I don't want us to take so long. And I like starting this by quoting the third president of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki. He said, leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. It's not an opportunity to satisfy personal greed. This is a very loud message, a very loud message. Whatever spaces we are in, I normally echo this as loud as I can. Even if we are talking to political leaders or any other leaders that we happen to engage with, we normally bring this very clear. Because if we take leadership as a privilege, then we'll value the people that we are leading, and we look more at what we are giving rather than looking at it from the aspects of what am I receiving. So the critical role of leadership is also emphasized by this African proverb, that an army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. Maybe some of you have come across this, this proverb. And the basic message here is that whoever is in front matters a lot. Yeah, we might be resourced, but who is in front? An organization might have resources, and resources here, we are talking about people. We might have talented people, gifted people, but again, who is in front to be able to help these people tap into what they have? So leadership determines the state of the organization, the state of the people, the state of the future of that organization. And I think as we look at this, it helps us to appreciate that indeed we need to think more about this area of leadership, because our tomorrows is determined on our investment today in the aspects of leadership. So we need to continuously build ourselves because we appreciate the critical role. Remember this principle. I like picking some of the references even from the Bible and other religious books in a principle, in principles perspective. So this is a principle from Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. There are many people who are in position of leadership, but again, when you look at the aspect of sharpening, we haven't sharpened ourselves, or they haven't been sharpened. And therefore, they're using too much effort to get very little success. That's a Pareto principle that we normally discuss in the masterclass, where if I've sharpened myself, then with the 20% effort, I should be able to attain 80% results. So as we walk through this journey, we're able to skill ourselves, sharpen ourselves, and we realize that some of the issues that maybe we have even mentioned tonight, we're able to resolve them in a very sober environment. And Abraham Lincoln also added on this, that if he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. So in our leadership, if we take it a ratio of 4:2, or if we take the 6 hours, how many hours do we use to sharpen ourselves as leaders? So that's food for thought. Food for thought. How many sessions have we been in so that we become better leaders? Yeah. To do this again, leadership lead, lifting our leadership lead. You know, a leader is like a lead. And we create a lead. Look at that photo. We set the boundary, or we set we are like a lead, in simple words. So people cannot be able to rise above that. And this is a law by John Maxwell, the law of the lead, that says that leadership ability is the lead that determines a personal level of effectiveness and also a person's level of success, or the level of success of an organization is anchored or is hinged on leadership. Just think about some of the organizations that have succeeded, maybe within Kenya here, and you'll always see an element of leadership that help that organization to rise to a particular level. So if we have inadequacy of leadership, then that becomes a limitation. The organization that you are leading, how far that organization is going to rise, then it's also determined by how far or how much are we also investing in our leadership capacity. Then the leadership gap, this is evident. I don't know if some of you have seen this discussion on social media. This speaker was having some audience and he asked 3 questions. Question 1, who wants change? And everybody was happy. The hands were all raised. He asked the second question, who wants to change? And guys were still there, but still trying to think. But sadly enough, when he asked the third question, who wants to lead the change, he was left alone. There are many organizations that exist, but again, when it comes to those organizations that are driving change, that are initiating change, they might not be many, because that has to be informed by some values of leadership that we really want to see in terms of what we are giving, the sacrifice that comes with being pioneers and all that. So the generational leadership network, we said we are coming to bridge this. We are a bridge to a better future. We are a bridge to see, to take the position of leading change. And as we equip leaders, this is the message that we are passing across, that wherever we are change agents, and therefore we take that initiative to be the leaders of change. The leadership gap, the top leadership skills that were identified in this study by American Productivity and Quality Center, they include strategic planning. I don't know if as an organization, do you have a strategic plan? So strategic plan was identified as one of the leadership gap. Change management was another one. Knowledge sharing, listening, and more importantly, emotional intelligence. And this is where conflict resolution becomes very important, because it needs a high level of emotional intelligence to deal with some of those delicate issues, especially in team dynamics. So these were some of the deficiencies that were identified in this study. The World Economic Forum also identified leadership as one of the challenges globally, and 86% of the respondents agreed there is a leadership gap. So as we get into the masterclass, we're able to highlight the areas. And again, the masterclass has been customized to respond to some of the gaps. Issues of communication, strategic planning, what we'll be discussing along. I may not want to mention much about this slide, but this is a comparison of Kenya and South Korea. Of interest is to look at the area. Look at the area of Kenya as a country, 580, 367 kilometers square. Look at the area of Korea, 100,000. 210 kilometers square. So Kenya is really quite big, almost 5 point something times. But the population of Kenya is almost the same. We are 52, they are 51. The point of interest is GDP per capita. If the resources were to be distributed to the individuals in these two countries, a Kenyan will get $1,410, but a Korean will get $31,846. That's quite a sizable amount of resource. So, and that shows how developed this country is. But natural resources and other resources, Kenya is still ahead. In 1963, Korea was far much behind Kenya. I read an article where Kenya actually sent some donation to South Korea. So what really happened? South Korea success factors are one of the areas that we try to look at, because benchmarking is important, and also picking what we can be able to run with. So there are a few aspects that we are able to identify, but most importantly, the long-term development vision, And that came with leadership that was visionary, yeah, a visionary leadership, and they were able to turn the country around. You can look at the story, just look at the South Korea success story, and you can be able to see more. The other goal for the leadership masterclass is to build dynamic leaders. Why is this important? Allow me to skip this. We'll talk about that. I think if we agree to proceed with the masterclass, I'll come back to this. This is one of the areas that we look at when you're talking about problem solving and how to unpack the problem. So because of time, I'll skip that. So the dynamic aspect of leadership, it's said that now we are living in a VUCA world, and only dynamic leaders will be able to lead in a VUCA world, because we need to be adaptable to the VUCA world. A VUCA world is a volatile world where there is so much rapid change around us. The world is uncertain, so the environment requires to take action without certainty that indeed the measure that you're putting in place will adequately address the problem. But again, a decision has to be made. It's complex, it's very dynamic. The interdependencies are affecting all of us. Think of COVID, from all the way China and all of the world, the whole world is impacted. It's also ambiguous. The environment is unfamiliar. It's outside of sometimes our knowledge zone, and also sometimes beyond our expertise. So we have to make a step beyond the known to unknown. And that's the VUCA world we're talking about. And the dynamic aspect of leadership is that aspect of continual learning, continual unlearning, relearning, and networking and collaboration, research and development, continuous innovation, and that aspect to be the quality of adaptability. So these are some of the conversations that we'll be having along the way. Finally, second last, resilient leaders. Who is a resilient leader? Think about that. Who is a resilient leader? And we say resilient leaders have the ability to sustain their energy level under pressure. Leaders, I think we can agree that in most times, we are always under pressure. Why? Because people are looking at us for solutions. Yeah. And the pressure levels will always be there to a certain level. So a resilient leader is able to work or sustain energy level to cope with disruptive changes, and also is able to adapt and also bounce back, because once in a while we might get off track, but as a resilient leader, we'll be able to come back to the track and move on. Then overcome major difficulties without engaging in dysfunctional behavior. And therefore, we are saying resilience is very, very important quality for any high-performing leader. So the program itself will build some aspects of resilience, because we'll continuously engage on some projects or some activities that will continue to stretch us. I think one of the examples that I can share about a resilient leader is Abraham Lincoln. This is a leader that failed, a leader that went through a series of failures, but at the end of it all, he attained his vision. Yeah, he attained his vision. He became the president of America in 1860. But look at the series of the challenges that he went through. And I think this is something that I see with politicians. They're able to bounce back. They're able to bounce back. They have that inner strength to get back on track despite the hurdles that they experience. Finally, self-care. As leaders, self-care, how I take care of my probably my intellectual aspect, how I take care of my social and all those other dynamics. So self-care is very important. It's one of the critical success factor in leadership. Think about if you've been on a plane. This announcement is always made that in the event of an emergency, put your own oxygen mask on first. And I think this can resonate with the leadership. taking care of ourselves enable us to be able to take care of others. Having something in our cup will always enable us to have something in other people's cups. And also the freshness of thought. I've been around some leaders who seems to be very fresh. Some of them have been leadership for a long time, but you wonder, how do they keep fresh? How do they always have ideas that are youthful, ideas that are even modern compared to maybe the duration they have been in leadership? And that comes in with that dynamic aspect of being adaptable to the environment, and also maybe the circles they have created around them is able to update them. And J.F. Kennedy said that leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. The moment a leader is not developing him or herself or growing, then that becomes the end of my leadership. I might remain in a position, but maybe I may not be offering leadership adequately. The influence might even have shifted maybe to other people because I have stopped becoming a source of value and as a resource to the people that I'm leading. So self-care is important, and networking and collaboration. And this is something that we have taken it very seriously as a group, because we know that from networking and collaboration, we can be able to get results more easily with little effort or with little struggles or strains, and everybody becomes a winner at the end of the day. So networking, collaboration, I think is something that I also just want to really re-echo in this discussion, so that even as an organization, you try to think more about it. If you are coming up with a strategic plan or reviewing the strategic plan, then that is one of the areas that you might need to focus on. So for the Global Leadership Network, we've been adequately trying to embrace this. And these are just past events that we have been able to engage in, just to be able to create networking, team building, collaboration. And after that, after every activity, we have very good discussions that are able to connect the people together. So I think I'll skip this and just mention a little bit about the program, just about the program. The masterclass that we're offering two programs. One of them is a one-day training for the physical, if it's a physical setup. But if it's an online setup, it will take 3 days, 2 hours per day. Then we have the Global Leadership Network Masterclass, the one that I've highlighted on the screen here. It's categorized in 5 stages. Stage 1 is coursework, and coursework is based on the manual that you can see there, Becoming a Global Leader. It has 16 modules, so we cover those 16 modules in 12 weeks. Then stage 2, we have weekly book review, just to be able to help us build our reading culture, enhance our reading culture. The book reviews are also from the book, The Purpose-Driven Leader. And then we have a project proposal. So we challenge leaders to scan around within the community, identify some challenges, and that are in sync with their strength. Then they come up with a project proposal. So we normally do that in a team. And some of those projects end up being finally implemented. Some they come up with as a paper that can be published, or a report that can be submitted to some entities. But we advocate for projects that can be implemented, that have value within the community. And then stage 4, course evaluation. Then stage 5, we're still working on stage 5, a study tour to other countries so that we can have an exchange program. So the coursework is in 4 stages. Level 1 is self-awareness. Level 2, redefining leadership. Then level 3, developing and deploying my leadership. Here we look at core leadership competencies that are very important for every leader. And then level 4, we allow as ourselves to help other leaders become better. So we bring you on board as a facilitator. The duration is 12 weeks for now, 2 hours per day. So we have both virtual, physical, on location. On location, probably the organization might call us to train their leaders where they are, and therefore we can go there and have the trainings there. We are having a new cohort starting next week, cohort 18, Tuesday, 8 p.m. that is online. Cohort 19, Saturday from next week, 7:30 in the morning. That's a physical class in Umoja, Nairobi. Cohort 20, Saturday, 8 p.m. That is an online class. And then cohort 21, Sunday, 3 p.m. That's also a physical class within Umoja area. So, but again, as an organization, if you decide that you want to undergo the program as a team, that's also something that we normally work around. Finally, what will it cost you? The first cost is time. If you're going for 12 weeks, then we need 2 hours per week, and we need to run for those 12 weeks. Financially, for us, we are not really a profit-making organization, so whatever we are charging is to sustain the program. And for the online class, we charge 4,500. And this is inclusive of the 2 books that I've mentioned, the manual, and also the other book that we shall be reviewing, as well as the facilitation, among other logistics, and a certificate at the end of the training. So that's the cost. And basically, that's a highlight of the importance of leadership. Also, just to bring on board what Generation Leadership Network is doing, so that we're able to help leaders to optimally be able to perform wherever they are, and see how do we collaborate with the organization, because the spaces that we are in now, if we really want to improve them, then we have to really have this conversation, and not just the conversation, but see the outputs that we can be able to run with or implement wherever we are. If this organization is able to perform better, I'm sure the people that we are serving will be able to also compound the performance wherever they are. And at the end of it all, we believe that we'll have a better country, a better continent, a better world. So I want to pause there. Just want to pause there and appreciate all of you. And maybe if we can have 1 or 2 comments from you, I think that as the discussion to us. So probably I know the contact person that I've been dealing with is very well, and since I think we had a challenge with the communication, maybe we can just open. There are options. You can opt to join the ongoing masterclass, or you can opt to have a session as a team, and then we'll work together with you. Or you can even opt to have the 1-day training as a team. Then we can work on where do we have the training, as well as a team building experience. So maybe, I don't know who can take charge on that discussion from your end, so that we can conclude the discussions.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
If I may ask, how much do you charge for the session that is 1-day physical training?
Yeah, for the 1 day, we charge 2,000, including a training manual. Yeah, so your training manual, a certificate. So that is basically for the facilitation. And this is if we are probably in a premises that we are not paying. But if you're in a premises that we are paying, then we'll now have to discuss around that and see how much we require to pay. But again, that's a conversation that we can also take up now that we are having this conversation together. Is that clear, Mr. Joseph?
Yes, it's very clear. And also I may add another question on top of that. Is that charges per individual, or it's communicatable for the team, for a team? If someone organizes a team and you have to train them, will it be something discussable?
True. We treat that as a corporate package. So for a corporate package, the cost normally goes lower. But if we are coming as an individual, then that is the cost. So we can also discuss about that, because it also depends with the packs, how many people we are having. Then we can be able to settle. But our heart is on leadership. So we try to make sure that if an organization is interested, we really have a conversation until we come to a consensus, because we want this information to go out to the leaders. So I'm sure we can open that conversation, and we can always strike a deal on that.
Another question, please. What is your maximum, or what is your minimum number whereby you can call that team as a corporate team, whereby you can discount them as a team, you won't charge them as an individual?
Around for, if it's a physical setup, we put 10 and above. Yeah, 10 and above. But if you have maybe lower than that, so we'll have probably to explore on the venues, because again, you see now, if you're paying for the venue, if people are fewer, then it means people have to pay more. But if people are more, then it means the charges are lower per individual. Yeah, but we actually recommend, if you have 10 and above, then we can be able to engage on that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for those questions. We look forward even for more conversation, so that we see how do we collaborate. Very well. Finally, I can hear you.
Sorry, had an issue with my network. Huh?
Yes, very well. Oh, I think I just mentioned.
So you can hear me right now?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think
first of all, I want to appreciate
Rewell, you are muted. Please unmute Rewell if you're still online.
So I think now you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So first of all, I want to appreciate and say thank you so much, because I didn't before ni join class sikuwa najua iko na maana hivyo, and after joining the class I came to realize the meaning of leadership, and I came even made me to start kuwa najihumble because of this class. So I want to appreciate, and I wish even my team watakuwa na hiyo heart ya kutaka kujua more about the leadership and more about how does it go, so that at least we can be able to change our society, our community, and even how to relate with people. I can tell you, since I joined this class, have changed 1 to 3 things that I used to do, and even the class has made me niko nafikiria maybe beyond of what I'm doing, and even my reasoning capacity. So Mr. Joseph, just want to appreciate you for that, and even for coming today. Actually, I know you are busy schedules, but you decided to give me a chance so that my team can learn from you. I really appreciate.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rewell and the team. So I don't know if there is any other comment from any participant.
Yes, I want to say something.
Yes, Mr. Samuel.
First of all, is to thank you so much, Mr. Joseph, for spending time to take us through the different dynamics of leadership as you have done. I like the part of learn and relearn part of the session. Yeah. And yeah, just to add on Mwalimu JB's questions, you said that that 1-day class, physical one, do we need to visit the do we need to attend, let's say, for example, you have a group of a few leaders that you want to have a session with. Do you need to come to your facility, or are you guys able to arrange to visit us, or do we need to come?
Yeah, both options are, we accommodate all of them. So if you have a facility, we can come on location training. But if you require us to organize for a location, we also have our partners that we work with. We can be able to make arrangement to secure a place for where we can have the trainings and also some level of team building. So we can work with either on location for the organization, or we also organize on our site for the 1 day.
Okay, clear, Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Samuel. And I'll remember what you said, values and dynamics of leadership. I hope it has become clear in our conversation tonight.
Of course it has. We hope we have another session with you so that we can elaborate further.
Yeah,
since
true.
I feel like today we just highlighted through.
Yeah, actually today is just an appetizer. But if you guys agree to go for the full package, the leadership masterclass, I'm sure by the time you complete the 3 months, wow, you will be in another level. I'm sure that's something that I think I'll share a link of an open day we had yesterday, just to be able to hear some testimonials from those who have gone through the masterclass. It's an experience that I would really a request that as a team really consider that. If you want to go through it as a team, or we can secure a day. Most of the online classes, we run them from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So we can secure a day, either Wednesday, because Tuesday we have another one. So we can look at Wednesday, or we can look at Thursday, or even Friday. And then we start running for you specifically as a team. And along the way, since this is a team, we can also explore having some physical classes in between the online class. So we do a hybrid of the physical and the online. So I pose that challenge to you. Think about it. You can go for the 1 day, or you can decide to go full blast and go for the 3 months. We are ready to be able to run with you, whatever is appropriate for your case. Okay, so probably we can bring it to a close at that. And I just want to appreciate all of you. Thank you. I'm sure that maybe we will think about leadership more after this session, and we'll think on how do we really build our capacity. And at the end of the day, I'm sure we'll maybe want to invest a little bit more on this aspect of capacity building, so that we're able to really work with less struggles, less effort, but achieve more impact within our organization. Just want to appreciate all of you. I don't know if somebody will have a point, a comment.
Yeah, just an additional.
Yeah.
Something crossed my mind. Apart from leadership training, you said you guys do community, communal, what do you call them? Community projects, right?
Yeah, we do. Maybe
you can consider inviting youth DIAS in your next projects, and maybe you can see how we can collaborate in different projects to make it successful. You know, to make some great projects together. I mean, just having a collaboration. True. Yeah. I think since now we have this kind of communication and conversation, maybe through Rewell or through any other member, we can be able to share the discussions.
And if you feel free, you may want also to share maybe your contacts. We can also be sharing with you updates. So you can share maybe your email on the chat. We can be sharing the updates of our upcoming events. Sometimes we also have free webinars on different topics. So, okay, they are for our members, but we can always invite a few other members from outside the network. So feel free to just share your email on the chat, and then we'll be updating you. Otherwise, let's pause there. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of you. Please have a conversation as a team, and then you can update me on which program you want to go for, and then we'll be able to make arrangements and move on. And remember that if we can make the decision probably as soon as we can, the better, so that we start the journey together as we start the other cohorts. We are starting the other cohorts next week. So if you have a conversation and feel that you are also ready to start, then you can update us on that, and we'll be able to continue. So thank you so much. I'll share this recording with Rewell, and then he will share it to you. But I'll also share on the emails. Those of us who have shared the email, I'll share the recording via email for further, just to be able to listen to it again and again. So thank you so much. God bless you. Samuel in Dubai, have a good time there, and the rest of us, maybe I think the rest of us, if you're within Kenya, have a good night. Thank you so much for creating time to be able to connect, and may God bless you.